All right, I want to give you a huge download, a huge breakthrough in my experience and understanding. Basically, whenever you root into a new area, so when you move somewhere new or when you move into a new house and you lock in with a grid of different people, so people who you live with and people who are your friends who you see regularly, you're connecting into a grid of consciousness. Like, you really got to get this. This has taken me so long to get. You connect into a grid of consciousness, and there's almost like a field of energy that you guys are sharing. You're becoming merged together in that field of roles, of personalities, of emotions, of duties, all of those things. And what happens a lot of times, we move to different places and we feel way different roles, different responsibilities, different energies, different emotions. And we might just be like, huh, well, that's weird that I'm feeling these new ways and having this new experience, but it's not. It's actually, it makes perfect sense. When you tap into a new grid, there's new energies there. New energies, it could be a higher, more joyful, uplifting, loving vibe, or there could be tensions in the air. And if there are tensions in the air, those are things to be processed. And if those things aren't processed, if they're omitted, ignored, then those are kind of in the background of the energy field. And if you're sensitive, you'll be able to feel those background energies. It's like an atmosphere. It's like an atmosphere. And this is why it's so powerful and why I know some people who are chronic movers or mobile, because they'll drop into a grid once your root chakra locks in. You're like, this is my new home. Then that you kind of click into that grid of consciousness. You click into that atmosphere. So what's so powerful is if you're somebody who's mobile, let's say you live in a van or you move to a new city every few months or often, you're able to see these different atmospheres, and you're also able to be on your own, and you get a sense for what sort of the atmosphere that you carry is and the atmosphere of other grids of consciousness, and you can get to discern that pretty well. And what I've always noticed is when I couple from grids which are have tension, when I uncouple from grids which are drama based, I feel so good every time. Like, I remember, so the reason I'm talking about this is because I've lived in like 18 to 20 different homes in the past few years. So I've been moving every couple months and sometimes every month, back to back to back to back. And this, I don't know that many humans who've had that experience and got to kind of potentially have their own aha moment about this grids of consciousness phenomena. Because especially when you drop into a grid of consciousness and you're an empath, you're going to feel it all and you're going to be like, well, I guess this is just how I feel now. And the key is to be aware that that's just that grid of consciousness. And so to not take everything so personally and to just work with that grid of consciousness. And if it's not a good fit for you, use your free will to make a choice to move to another space, another atmosphere that might be more aligned for you, that might be more resonant with who you actually are, that maybe where you feel more free to be more of yourself. And sometimes that can take time because you have a lot of cords attaching you into this atmosphere, and you might have to think, okay, maybe I'm going to start cutting some and create some leverage so that I can go to a place where I'm a better fit. And that's so powerful. So sometimes when I've moved out of one place, and when I first moved there, I'm like, man, I seem to be going. So really follow me here. I've like moved to this place, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great on the first night. I feel so good. Next morning, kind of a few days in, I'm like, man, I'm seeing old patterns, but they're not old patterns. They're like not even really my patterns. It's just like new energy, and I'm like, I'm just in this new energy, and I'm noticing like guilt, or I'm noticing like I have this craving for pizza. I don't even like pizza. Where is this coming from? Just like I'm just in this new energy, and I go through all these emotional experiences. And at the beginning, I kind of notice like, yeah, these are new energies for sure. This isn't really personal. But then by the end, you live there for a couple months, you live there for years, imagine. Then you're like, that's just me. This is just how I feel. I don't have any contrast because I'm in this grid, I'm in this atmosphere all the time. But then, within one day of this one place that I'm talking about, I moved and I took all my stuff out of there. I had the intention I'm not going to go back there probably ever. Probably ever. And I moved to this new place. As soon as the car dropped me off and I walk into the new place, I'm like, oh, whoa. It's like so much of my energy came back to me. And spaces and places almost in my own body that were occupied with the energies of the old space, the old atmosphere, that was gone. Those grids of consciousness were cut, disconnected. And so I felt, oh my God, I feel so free. Oh my God, I feel so good in my body. Oh my God, I feel like I'm back to myself. Whoa, this is really weird. I literally feel like I'm back to myself. Wow, wow, whoa. So many of those emotions that I was going through was actually because I was connected into that grid of consciousness. So this could be like a workplace, a boss that you have, roommates that you live with, job, like a job, or duties that you have that you have to engage with the same people at rhythmic times. You're in a grid, okay? Really get this. And here's one of the things I could give to you to kind of exemplify this. So if I gave you the thought experiment of like, sell all your stuff and go, I'm just picking a random place, to Hawaii or New Zealand right now, and don't talk to anybody who you were previously talking to in your old grid system, who, especially, let's just say, don't talk to anybody who you felt there was drama, stress, or tension, and you just go on your own and just go start a new life in Hawaii or New Zealand or whatever. I'm just making this example up. Get a 2-year visa in New Zealand. Go there. I guarantee you in a few days, you'd be like, whoa, oh, I feel so good. Whoa, it's like I feel free because you're not corded into those old systems and patterns. But if you don't have energetic sovereignty yet, so you haven't created financial stability within yourself, you'll still have those energies running within you that you'll need to process, right? So that's a place that I've been at where it's like, I want to continue to have financial stability and abundance, more and more abundance moving forward as I do this work, so that I have that mobility. Because that mobility to be able to choose consciously when it's time to uncouple with a grid, or to just follow your heart, essentially. That, if I want to just break it down, it's just that, just to follow your heart. That's something that I highly, highly value, because I've seen how subtle these effects of grids of consciousness are. And yeah, so if you did that experiment, you sold all your stuff, you went to New Zealand, I bet you'd be feeling, just by the virtue of that's a very spontaneous and awesome thing to do, you'd be feeling great. But I think a big portion of it is because you're disentangling from all of these expectations. Literally people being like, I expect you to act the way you did yesterday. I expect people's pain bodies expecting a little bit of that juice from you. You know, but we have to have our argument every couple weeks, or else, you know, that's just all we know. Well, sometimes that's all people know, unless you've created a really harmonic environment. In that case, good job. So when you uncouple from those grids, you'll feel really light. You'll feel kind of like a return to yourself. And I think one of the things that's just so interesting is that many people don't have this experience where they forget, and they only feel it when they go on vacation. So to those of you who travel regularly, you probably maybe noticed this, because there's the travel bug. You're like, man, I kind of feel like I want to just run free. I just want to adventure and like cut the cords of everything that everyone ever thought of me, and all the expectations. Just go on a new journey, and you'll be able to feel that levity from doing that, from moving into new grids with no expectations. Nothing's locking you in, and so that travel will unlock this realization, this awareness of how we navigate and how we can follow our heart. But to really do that, you need to have energetic sovereignty. So you need to be financially supporting yourself, energetically stable from within. And that can be a process when we've learned lack, when we've been conditioned to be feeling like we need codependence for money, we need an employer, we need all these different things. Yeah, so some people will notice that if they travel a lot. Where else did I want to go with this? Oh, and then some people will notice it when they go on vacation. You'll just notice that, and you might just be like, oh, it was just because Hawaii is so nice. It's like, no, there was an energy thing, and you really have to follow the energy thing. You don't go to Hawaii and text all your friends back home. You know what I'm saying? Because you're still connected in the energy. It's like, go there and uncouple from what was no longer serving you. And if you want to share things, then share things, connect with the people who you love, of course. But if you want to observe this energy phenomenon, I'd recommend that experiment, or think about this the next time you move, and notice that first day or two when you move in. Notice the feeling. Notice the levity, and notice that moment when you disentangle from an old grid. Feel what that feels like. It's a deep learning experience. It's a deep realization you can have. So I want to send you a lot of love. This is Grids of Consciousness Part 2. I'm out.